And do we have on the public defender that's representing Mr. Mulcahy as of yet?
Good afternoon, Judge. This is Mr. McLean's case. Oh, he's there in quorum too. All right.
Right, very good. Thank you. And let's see, Ms. Makaki, is this your case? You're on, okay.
What position is this? His last name
This
is
yes, position number 19, Jaden Mulcahy.
Yes, this is not my case, Your Honor. I believe this is Attorney Allen's, but I do not see her logged in.
All right, while we're waiting for everyone to join us, for those of you that can hear me, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the state expedited accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. For those of you that are defendants, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you. You have a right to have an attorney present at these proceedings this afternoon. If you do not have a private attorney, we are providing you with the assistance of a public defender if you choose to utilize their services.
Second row, first chair. Right here. Benton.
Do you have the cell phone number, Ms. Makaki, of the solicitor that's joining you, whose case this is? If so, would you mind letting them know that it's a little after 2 and court has started?
Absolutely, Your Honor.
Thank you.
We're gonna go through the third row into the second. Through the third into the second. Hey, that's not down, all the way down. All the way down. Hernandez. Through the third into the second. Christopher Hill, stay in the same order I quoted. Timothy Early. Zachary Forbes. Taiwan Jones. You said what? We're off here. That's it, Marcus. Robinson. James Smith. Jesus. Gone.
Attorney Allen has joined, Your Honor.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't realize that this was Miss Allen's case. I thought it was another. Miss Allen, we're on position number 19, Jaden Mulcahy. Is pretrial on with us?
Yes, Your Honor, I'm here.
Yes, good afternoon, Ms. Hardy. Is there a history? But first, Mr. Mulcahy, you've been charged in case 24 CR 0082588 with possession of a pistol or revolver by a person under the 18 years of age. Yes, Ms. Hardy.
There's no history to report for this defendant.
Okay. Yes, good afternoon, Ms. Allen.
I apologize for causing a delay.
No worries. I know we have a big calendar this afternoon.
This is an incident from the 22nd. So yesterday at about 3:25 a.m., police initiated a traffic stop near the area of Mount Zion Road and Empire Boulevard. The defendant, Mr. Mulcahy, was in the passenger seat of the car and had a firearm in his possession. He's under the age of 18. We're asking for a $10,000 SOB through pretrial, a parent cosigner, a curfew, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons.
Yes, Mr. Blaine.
Your Honor, he's simply in high school in the 11th grade. He does not have a job because he goes to school full time. The two phone numbers I have, the first number says it can't be reached at this time, try later, and we've been trying for a while. And the other is giving a fast busy. So his address is Empire Boulevard. And I believe this is first arrest. So we're going to need to get hold of the family, but I'll keep trying during court session.
Do we have the name of a mother or a father that can be his parental cosigner?
I don't have the name. I just can't even reach the phone numbers.
Well, can't you ask him what their name is?
He's at South Annex, so
Mr. Mulcahy, do you live with your parents or your mother or your father?
Sir, my mama incarcerated, sir. I live with my big brothers and my auntie is my legal guardian right now.
very
Okay,
good.
thank you. What's your aunt's name?
Laquita Jordan.
So, Mr. McLean, if you can get Miss Jordan's phone number and have her and reach out to her to let her know that she will have to co-sign to get him out. I'd appreciate it. If you don't reach her by tomorrow, I'm on the calendar tomorrow, so I'm
Right.
happy to hear back from you. But as for today, it'll be a $10,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1 with a parental or with an adult co-signer who will be Laquita Jordan. Mr. Mulcahy, you're gonna have a curfew. Your curfew is gonna be, you have to be in by 9 p.m. You cannot leave the house until 6 a.m. If you are in school, you are to stay in school. You are to have no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. If you do have a weapon or if there are weapons in that household, they're gonna have to be relinquished.
Yes,
Okay?
sir.
All right. Good luck to you, Mr.
I
Mulcahy.
got somebody number I can give you.
Whose number do you have?
This my brother baby mama, my oldest brother. She should be able to get in contact with my auntie.
Okay, well, we'll get that, Mr. McLean, if you can get that number and see if you can get in touch with Miss Jordan.
I apologize, Judge. What was the name of the adult cosigner?
Laquita Jordan,
And what was the curfew time again?
9 p.m., 6 a.m.
Thank you.
Welcome. Okay, all right, Mr. Mulcahy, good luck to you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Your Honor, can you give your announcement one more time? I was bringing people in from the tank.
Okay, you ready for me to do that now, Norris?
Yes, sir. Everybody's in.
Okay. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Again, I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you. You have a right to have an attorney present at these proceedings. If you do not have a private attorney, we're providing you with the assistance of a public defender this afternoon if you choose to utilize their services. Okay. Who do we have next?
This is going to be Mr. Jasmir West, and he's position 27, Your Honor.
Okay, and Norris, just so you know, I see Miss Chancey on the line, so I'll let you
I
handle
don't
that.
know. I don't know who we're going to use Miss Chancey for. I don't know if it's for Mr. Hernandez.
There were two people named Hernandez. It might be for one of them.
There's only one Hernandez.
Miguel Hernandez?
For Miguel Hernandez,
Yes.
who interviewed him?
And Judge, I was able to interview him without an interpreter, but I'll defer to the court or Mr. Hernandez and on if he would like the assistance.
Do you think I'm sorry, PD, could you say your last name for me, please?
Yes, Batter.
Batter, good afternoon, Miss Batter.
Good afternoon.
Let's see, do you believe that your client needs an interpreter?
I don't believe so, Judge. He was able to answer my questions.
Okay, is he in the courtroom with you there, Norris?
Yes, he is, Your Honor.
May I just see him for a moment? I don't want to keep Miss Chancey if we don't need her. Is it a possibility that I can have him up so that we can ask her if he needs her services?
Okay. We can actually do the case first, since he's up here in the chair.
Okay, and tell me who this is again?
Mr. Hernandez?
Señor Hernandez?
And yes, Ms. Chancellor, would you just ask him if he needs your assistance or if he can proceed in English?
Señor, ¿usted necesita mi asistencia como intérprete o puede usted proceder sin la ayuda de un intérprete?
No, sí, sí necesito.
¿Perdón?
Sí necesito.
Yes, I do need it.
Okay, and so Ms. Jansen, if you can raise your right hand for me. Do you swear affirm you will interpret from English to Spanish and Spanish to English to the best of your ability?
I do, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Good afternoon, Mr. Hernandez. You have been charged in case 24 CR 008277C with willful obstruction of law enforcement officers and loitering and prowling.
Buenas tardes, señor Hernández. Usted ha sido acusado en el caso 24CR008277C con obstrucción voluntaria a la autoridad y por estar vagabundeando.
Your history, Ms. Hardy?
¿Hay antecedentes, señora Hardy?
Sorry, Your Honor. He's also has another case, willful obstruction and theft by shoplifting, 24 CR 008276C.
También, su señoría, él tiene otro caso por obstrucción voluntaria a la autoridad y por robo de tiendas en el caso 24CR008276C.
And tell me that charge again, Ms. McCockey.
Willful obstruction and theft by shoplifting, and then he has the willful obstruction and loiter prowl.
Are those two on the calendar or are they just add-ons?
They
¿Están en la
should
lista o son
both-
agregados?
No, they're both on the calendar. They're positions 12 and 13.
And
Están los dos en la lista, posición 12 y 13.
I'm sorry, Judge, he's also position 11.
También está en la posición 11.
Okay, my positions might be mixed up then.
Okay, so.
Three
for-
positions.
Okay. For position number 11, Mr. Hernandez, you have been charged in case 24 CR 008244C with 2 counts of theft by shoplifting, willful obstruction of law enforcement officers, and giving false information to law enforcement.
Entonces, señor Hernández, para la posición 11, usted ha sido acusado en el caso 24CR008244C con 2 cargos de robo de tienda con una obstrucción voluntaria a la fuerza del orden, también por dar falsa información a los oficiales de la fuerza del orden.
In position number 12, you have been charged in case 24 CR 008276C with willful obstruction of law enforcement officers and theft by shoplifting.
Y en la posición número 12, usted ha sido acusado en el cargo 24CR008276C con obstrucción voluntaria a la fuerza del orden, a los oficiales de la fuerza del orden y por robo de tienda.
Is there a history, Ms. Hardy?
¿Hay antecedentes, señora Hardy?
The last arrest for this defendant was March the 3rd, 2024 out of Fulton for an FTA.
El último arresto para este acusado ocurrió el 3 de marzo del 2024 en el condado de Fulton por falta de asistencia al tribunal.
They have a total of 11 arrest cycles with arrests out of Georgia and New Jersey.
Hay un total de 11 procesos de arresto con el resto ocurridos en Georgia y en New Jersey.
Felony conviction in 2018 for possession of Schedule 1, 2, or 3 controlled substance.
También una condena por delito mayor en el 2018 por tenencia de el título 1 y 2 y 3 de sustancias reguladas.
2017 burglary.
En el 2017 por entrada ilícita con fines ilegales.
There appears to be a hold out of Cherry Hill, New Jersey for probation violation, and the date of that warrant is May 5th, 2021.
Pareciera haber una detención desde New Jersey en la ciudad de Cherry Hill por un incumplimiento de probatoria y la fecha de la orden de arresto es el 5 de mayo del 2021.
Nothing further to report.
Nada más para informar.
Thank you. Yes, Ms. McCockey, which one would you like to start with?
Yes, if we could start with position 12 and 13, it looks like position 11 was filed down on the 21st and was reset. So I just need to take a look at that.
Sí, por
Okay.
favor, podemos empezar con la posición 2 y 13. Pareciera que la 11 se presentó el 21 y volvió a darse una nueva cita. Entonces necesito mirar a esa en particular.
Position 12, willful obstruction and theft by shoplifting occurred on January 26, 2024 at the Walmart located at 970 Mansell Road in Roswell.
La posición 12 fue por obstrucción voluntaria y robo de tienda ocurrida el 26 de enero del 2024 en la tienda Walmart ubicada en el 970 de Mansell Road en Roswell.
The defendant is accused of stealing $180 worth of items from the location, and when officers tried to detain him, he fled on foot.
El acusado trataba de robar artículos por $180 del lugar y cuando los oficiales intentaban detenerlo y él huyó a pie.
You can go sue somebody, go to court and sue somebody.
The state's recommendation is a $1,200 surety bond, which is what he currently has.
La recomendación de sentencia de la fiscalía es de $1,200 para la fianza bajo garantía, que es lo que tiene hoy asignado en la actualidad.
Stay away from the incident location, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol.
Mantenerse distanciado del lugar del incidente y que se prohíba el uso de drogas, alcohol y armas.
So anybody can watch that.
Let's
For
move on.
position
go-
13, sorry.
It's not part of
You're
it.
fine. Go ahead, Ms. McCockey.
The willful obstruction and loiter prowl, this incident occurred on the 19th of December.
La obstrucción voluntaria en el enero 13 y por estar haraganeando y vagabundeando en el lugar ocurrió el 19 de diciembre.
Officers observed the defendant and a female walking through an apartment complex after they had previously seen them walking through a different complex earlier in the day.
Los oficiales observaron que el acusado y una dama estaban caminando a través de el complejo de departamentos después de haberlos ya visto previamente caminando en otro complejo anteriormente ese día.
Due to the large amount of trespassing and theft that had been occurring recently in these apartment complexes, officers made contact and began speaking with the parties.
Debido a larga cantidad de casos de robo que habían estado ocurriendo recientemente en este complejo de departamentos, los oficiales se contactaron y comenzaron a hablar con estas partes.
The defendant kept walking away and eventually he threw his belongings on the ground and then proceeded to flee on foot.
El acusado continuó caminando y eventualmente tiró las pertenencias en el suelo y procedió a huir a pie.
He currently has a $600 surety bond on the obstruction and a UJR on the loiter and prowl. We ask that that bond remain the same. Stay away from the incident location, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol.
En la actualidad, él tiene una fianza bajo garantía por la obstrucción a la autoridad y una fianza bajo firma por estar haraganeando y vagabundeando. Pedimos que la fianza permanezca igual, que se mantenga distanciado del lugar del incidente y se prohíba el uso de drogas, armas y el uso de alcohol.
Okay,
Okay.
and position 11?
Position 11,
Y la
I'm,
posición 11.
I'm still taking a look at that one. I apologize, Your Honor. I wasn't aware that was
Estoy
on.
todavía mirando la posición 11. Me disculpo, su señoría, no he terminado.
Well, he's accused of giving false information to law enforcement officers by giving them the false name of Gabriel Rodriguez. He's
Bueno,
also
él está acusado por dar una información falsa a los oficiales de la Fuerza del Orden, dándoles un nombre falso de Gabriel Rodríguez.
he's also accused of stealing from that same Walmart location, 970 Mansell Road.
También tiene una acusación por haber robado en esa misma tienda Walmart de el 970 en Mansell Road.
Officers were trying to make contact with him, and he kept walking away from officers after being told not to.
Los oficiales estuvieron tratando de contactarse con él y él continuó caminando, distanciándose de los oficiales después que se le dijo que no lo hiciera.
It appears the possession of drug-related objects charge was NOD'd.
I'm sorry, madam, can you please explain NOD?
Oh, it was dismissed.
Thank you. Pareciera que el cargo por posesión relacionados con los objetos para usar drogas fue desestimado.
Let me just make sure. Yes. It looks like in this case, he currently has a $1,000 surety bond on each charge. The state is fine with him receiving a signature bond on these charges. Stay away from that Walmart location. No drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond.
Bueno, pareciera que en este caso él actualmente tiene una fianza bajo garantía de $1,000 para cada cargo. La fiscalía está de acuerdo que él reciba una fianza bajo firma en estos cargos. Debe distanciarse, mantenerse distanciado de la tienda Walmart y se prohíbe el uso de armas, drogas y alcohol mientras esté libre bajo fianza.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Pataki. Yes, Ms. Batter.
Gracias.
Thank you, Judge. Judge, we're of course fine with the signature bonds for all the charges on position 11. In terms of position 12, we would ask to change both of these to signature bonds.
Gracias, su señoría. Estamos, por supuesto, de acuerdo con las fianzas bajo firmas para todos los cargos en la posición 11. En los términos de la posición 12, queremos pedir que se cambien las dos a una fianza bajo firma.
And lastly, Judge, we're asking to change the $600 surety bond on the willful obstruction in position 13 to a signature bond.
Y por último, su señoría, pedimos que se cambie la fianza de $600 bajo firma en el cargo de obstrucción voluntaria en la posición 13 a una fianza bajo firma.
Your Honor, Mr. Hernandez has lived in Georgia for 4 years. He currently lives with his girlfriend of 2 years, and they have a baby that is due next month.
Su señoría, el señor Hernández ha vivido en Georgia por 4 años. Ahora en la actualidad él vive con su novia que ha tenido por 2 años y tienen un bebé y tendrán un bebé en un mes.
Judge, Mr. Hernandez works. He builds tents for events. And he is the support system for his family, and his girlfriend is not currently working.
Su señoría, el señor Hernández trabaja, él construye carpas o tiendas para eventos y él apoya a su hijo y a su familia, su novia. En este momento su novia no está trabajando.
Judge, we assert that the recent FTA was not willful. And we do now have updated phone numbers for one for his cousin and one for a friend who lives in Atlanta as well.
Su señoría, también queremos hablar sobre el reciente falta de asistencia ante el tribunal y decir que no fue voluntaria. Nosotros hemos actualizado los números de teléfono, uno de su primo y el otro de un amigo que vive en Atlanta también.
Finally, Judge, these are non-violent charges. Especially position 13, it sounds like he was arrested for walking.
En el último, su señoría, estos no son cargos relacionados con la violencia y especialmente el de la posición 13, que parece estar relacionada con un arresto por haber estado caminando.
And Judge, he is presumed innocent. That's all. Thank you.
Y su señoría, él es presunto inocente. Eso es todo. Gracias.
What was the 2024 FTA related to? What charge? Ms.
¿Con qué cargo se
Hardy,
relaciona la falta de asistencia al tribunal?
Excuse me, Your Honor, bear with me, I can look that up.
Un momento, su
Okay.
señoría.
do you know, Ms. Batter?
I believe, Judge, that it's for position 11.
Creo que es la posición 11.
And I'm only asking also because if I do give him a signature bond, is this FTA going to still be holding him until it's heard?
Y también estoy preguntando porque creo que dándole una fianza bajo firma, ese cargo por inasistencia va a mantenerlo en custodia hasta que se pueda tener una audiencia.
I have a case number, but it doesn't tell me, the case number is 23 SC 188619.
Tengo un número que es el 23 SC 1888619.
Judge, I believe he had an FTA as well for a state court case. I found it, Judge.
Creo que tiene un número y yo lo encontraré, su señoría.
The state court case and bench warrant status is 24 CR 000-656C.
El caso en el tribunal estatal y el estado de la orden de arresto es para el caso 24 CR 000-656C.
And what's the charge?
¿Cuál es el cargo?
One count of willful obstruction, one count of giving false name, one count of possession of drug-related objects, and one count of theft by shoplifting.
Un cargo por obstrucción voluntaria, otro por dar un nombre falso, otro por tenencia de parafernalia y uno por robo de tienda.
And what was the bond situation for that case? Do we know?
¿Sabemos cuál era la situación de la fianza en ese caso?
From what I can see, it looks like he had a $4,000 signature bond.
Por lo que yo puedo ver, él tenía una fianza bajo firma de $4,000.
Was that through pretrial?
¿Fue a través de los servicios previos al juicio?
Yes.
Sí.
Okay, so he is, Ms. Hardy, so he's already being supervised by pretrial?
Señora Hardy, ¿ya ha sido supervisado por los servicios previos al juicio?
I don't see that notated on his report. I'll have to call and see if he is and they just didn't put it on the report.
No lo veo en su informe, debería llamar y ver si cuál es la información para ponerlo en su informe.
Judge, he was released on a $4,000 signature bond through pretrial on February the 7th.
Él fue puesto en libertad con una fianza bajo firma de $4,000 a través de los servicios previos al juicio el 7 de febrero.
Okay, and Ms. Strong, do you have that bond order? Who was the judge?
One
¿Quién fue
moment.
el juez? ¿Quién dio la orden de fianza?
Judge Williams.
Okay, thank you.
El juez o jueza Williams.
All right, so it looks like he's gonna have some things to clear up beyond these 3 cases this afternoon.
Muy bien, parece que se van a tener que aclarar algunas cosas en estos 3 casos hoy.
And given that he also, it's my understanding, besides the case with state court, he also has a superior court case where he has an FTA. Is that is my understanding correct?
That
Entonces,
case was null pros, Your Honor.
Okay.
bueno, también veo que tiene un cargo, un caso con el tribunal estatal y también uno con el tribunal superior, que es donde tiene la inasistencia al tribunal. ¿Estoy entendiendo bien? Ese caso fue desestimado.
Okay. Anything else from anyone?
¿Hay algo
Um,
más?
Your Honor, I'm looking at the jail screen right now, and it looks like he has some local warrants that for cases that don't have CR numbers yet.
Su señoría, yo estoy mirando a la información de la cárcel en este momento y parece que él tiene órdenes de arresto locales. Esos
So I just want,
casos y no veo los nombres empezando con una CR.
so I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything with the
Quiero,
jail.
quiero asegurarme que no estoy olvidándome de nada, o me falta nada de información de la cárcel.
And who are you directing that to, Ms. McConkey? I'm sorry.
Anyone, Your Honor. I was just having a conversation with courtroom 2, and it looks like there was a possession and use of drug-related charges that I thought was originally NOD, but it wasn't. It doesn't even have a accusation number, so I'm not sure if it was ever filed down.
Yo he estado teniendo una conversación en el tribunal y parece que hubo una tenencia y uso de parafernalia, algo relacionado así con los cargos, y pienso que originalmente también fue desestimado.
I just want to make sure all his cases are accounted for and that we're addressing everything that needs to be addressed.
No hay nada de números, pero quiero que asegurarme de que todos los cargos sean mencionados. Hay algo más que tenemos que nombrar.
Since I wasn't here for position 11 on Saturday, again, I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything.
Quiero asegurarme que no me olvido de nada.
Your Honor, he has 2 given false information on his booking screen, but on the calendar it only has 1.
Su señoría, hay 2 cargos por dar información falsa, pero en la lista de causas solamente se ve 1.
And Judge, I do believe that that is from the case for which he received a bench warrant.
Okay.
Y su señoría, creo que ese es del caso por el cual usted recibió una orden de arresto.
Okay, well, I'm gonna give him a bond this afternoon on the 3 cases that I have in front of me. If you all find something, and I believe that he has an FTA that's gonna have to be addressed, so he's not gonna be able to get out until that's addressed. So if you all want to bring him back, if you find something else tomorrow, then I'll address it tomorrow. Is that okay? Given that he'd already been given back in February a signature bond through pretrial, I'm not willing to do that again. I'm sorry, Miss Chansey.
That's okay, sir. Bueno, yo veo que le voy a dar una fianza esta tarde por los casos que yo tengo enfrente de mí. Si ustedes encuentran o creen que hay un cargo de inasistencia ante el tribunal, entonces eso tiene que ser tratado y él no va a poder salir. Entonces, si usted quiere traerlo de vuelta, si encuentran algo así como, por favor, háganlo. Entonces, yo voy a... Ah, está bien. Entonces, dado a que yo ya se le ha dado a él una fianza bajo firme en febrero a través de los servicios previos al juicio, no estoy dispuesto a hacerlo de nuevo.
Okay, so for position number 11, for the two theft charges, each will be a $500 good bond.
Entonces, para la posición 11, donde dos de los cargos de robo serán dos fianzas de $500 eh, bajo garantía.
For the willful obstruction, a $500 good bond.
Por la fianza de obstrucción voluntaria son $500.
For the false information, a $100 good bond.
Por el cargo de dar falsa información son $100 de fianza.
Stay away from the Walmart on Mansell Road.
Mantenerse distanciado de la tienda Walmart localizada en Mansell Road.
No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond.
Queda prohibido el uso de drogas, alcohol y armas mientras esté libre bajo fianza.
So for position number 11, it's a total of a $1,600 good bond.
Para la posición 11 es un total de $1,600 de fianza.
For position number 12, it'll be a $500 good bond for each charge.
Y para la posición 12 serán $500 de fianza para cada uno de los cargos,
Makes for a total of a $1,000 good bond.
lo que hace un total de $1,000 de fianza.
Stay away from the Walmart on Mansell Road.
Mantenerse distanciado del Walmart de Mansell Road.
No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond.
Se prohíbe el uso de drogas, alcohol y armas mientras esté libre bajo fianza.
For position number 13, it'll be a $300 good bond on each charge.
Hablando de la posición ahora número 13, será $300 de fianza para cada cargo,
Makes for a total of a $600 good bond.
lo que da un total de una fianza de $600.
No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond.
Queda prohibido el uso de drogas, alcohol y armas mientras esté libre bajo fianza.
Ms. McConkey, was there a stay away requested?
¿Hay un requisito de mantenerse distanciados, señor McCack?
Yes, the warrant says the incident location is Old Holcomb Bridge Road and also Creekside Way in Roswell, Georgia.
Sí, hay una orden de arresto por el incidente en el lugar en Old Holcomb Bridge Road y también Creekside Way en Roswell, Georgia.
And stay away from those two locations. Yes, Ms. Batter.
He resides on Old Holcomb Bridge Way in Roswell, Georgia.
Él vive en Old Holcomb Bridge Road in Georgia.
If he resides there, then
So yeah, I
he
would
doesn't have
object
to stay.
to this stay away.
Entonces yo objeto la orden de distanciamiento en esa área.
What was the apartment complex that he was in, Ms. McConkey, allegedly in?
¿En qué área de departamentos estaba él, señor McCack?
The warrant did not specifically state, but give me a second, I will look up the address.
Deme un segundo, lo buscaré porque la orden de arresto no lo dice específicamente.
It just says officers saw the defendant on Old Holcomb Bridge Road and Creekside Way in Roswell, walking in between the two apartment complexes.
Solo dice que los oficiales vieron al acusado en Old Holcomb Bridge Road y Creekside Way en Roswell, caminando entre los dos complejos de apartamentos.
Okay, I'm not gonna have a stay away placed on here.
Okay,
No
that's fine.
ordenaré un distanciamiento de estos lugares.
Ms. Strong, are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Did you get all that?
Obtuvo toda esa información.
I did, but just I don't know if this makes a difference. Doesn't really have the reset date is the 7th. Never mind. Yes, I got it all.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, I was also going to say that I want that FTA heard before the 7th. So if we can place that on I know the only SAP calendar we have left is on Thursday, right?
He's already on that FTA case is already on the calendar for the 9th. That's what I was about to say. So I'll just
Oh, okay.
I'll take it off the 9th and put it on the 7th with these cases here. But it looks like the calendar may have already gone out for the 2nd.
Okay.
Is that, I mean, I think that for the 2nd, is that the day you were trying to add him to?
Well, I mean, since it's around the holidays, I was trying to add him for right after Christmas on the 26th, or
And Judge, it looks like, I'm sorry. From his booking page, it looks like he has a $5,000 bond on the FTA. Not sure when
Okay.
Mirando, la información parece que hay una fianza de $5,000 por la inasistencia al tribunal.
Okay, Ms. Strong, let's just leave everything on January 7th.
Okay.
Señor Strong, planeemos todo para enero 7.
Good luck to you, Mr. Hernandez.
Buena suerte, señor Hernández.
Do we need Madam Interpreter for any other cases this afternoon?
That should be it, Your Honor.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, Your Honor. Have a good
Thank you, Ms.
day.
Chanty. You do the same. Happy holidays if I don't see you
You
tomorrow.
too, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, who do we have next?
Gonna be position number 14, Ms. Emily Hovis.
Okay. Good afternoon, Ms. Hovis. You have been charged in case 24 CR 008269D with battery family violence and simple battery family violence. Is there a history, Ms. Hardy?
The last arrest was November the 11th, 2009, out of Athens for a DUI. That is their only arrest cycle, nothing further.
Thank you. Ms. McCockey?
Yes, Your Honor. I have that this incident occurred on the 22nd. The incident location is 5118 Northside Drive in Sandy Springs. The victims in this case are Sally Hovis and George Hovis, who are the defendant's parents. Officers arrived at the incident location and observed the defendant sitting outside with visible injuries to her face. The defendant kept telling officers that nothing happened and just that she had ruined the night. Officers did observe that the defendant was visibly inebriated at the time. The defendant had been invited to her parents' house, which is the incident location, I believe, for a Christmas party, and they were trying to also schedule her an intervention for the new year due to concerns about her alcohol consumption. The defendant kept getting irate and at one point grabbed her mother's arms forcefully, causing her mother's arms to hurt, and the defendant told her mother that she was stronger than her. Hearing the commotion, multiple family members then came into the room to see what was going on, and the defendant at one point struck her father in the face, causing a laceration to his chin. Our office has spoken with both George and Sally Hovis. They state that the defendant does not live with them. They confirmed the events in the warrant, stated that they believe the defendant was under the influence of something. They state that she has been belligerent and angry with them in the past, but this is the first time that things have turned physical. They also stated that the defendant had been violent towards other people in the past. They would like her to undergo an ADET, and they're also okay with having contact with the defendant at this time. The state is okay with the signature bond, given her history and our conversation with her family. No further violent contact with her parents, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond. We would ask for an ADET if the court is not inclined to give one at this time. We would at least ask that she undergo random screens as a part of her bond. I believe her parents are on the Zoom, so I would ask the court to sound for Sally and George Hovis.
Mr. and Ms. Hovis, if you'd like to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. If you wish to, I'll need for you to unmute yourself, activate your camera, and I'll have to swear you in. Okay, Ms. Bader?
Yes, Judge. We have no issue with what the state is recommending. Ms. Hovis would be fine with having to do an AA meeting or an ADET. She does have a bachelor's degree from Georgia, and she does live separately from her parents. That is correct. She would like to have contact with them. It sounds like the state is fine with that as well.
Okay, for each charge, it will be, well, for the battery, it'll be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. For the simple battery, $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. Makes for a total of a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. An ADET, no further violent contact with Mr. and Ms. Hovis. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Hovis.
Next, we got we're gonna keep moving, keep going. Next is gonna be position number 16, Ms. Blair King.
Good afternoon, Ms. King. You've been charged in case 24 CR 008268G with simple battery family violence. Is there a history, Ms. Harvey?
No history to report at this time.
Ms. McConkey?
Sorry, Your Honor. I have that this incident occurred on the 21st of December. The victim in this case is the defendant's mother, who also goes by the name of Blair King. The incident location is 2997 Black Forest Trail Southwest in Atlanta. The defendant is accused of punching and kicking her mother after her mother tried to take her phone away. The defendant did admit to kicking her mother in the back after she tried to take her phone. Given the defendant's history, the state's recommendation is a signature bond. Through pretrial services, no further violent contact with her mother, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond, anger awareness, and I would ask the court to sound for Ms. Blair King.
If Ms. Blair King is on the line and wishes to address the court, now is your opportunity. Doesn't appear so. Ms. Bader?
Yes, thank you, Judge. Ms. King is 17 years old. She's doing a dual enrollment at Atlanta Technical College, where she'll get her diploma and her associates at the same time, and she's supposed to be starting her classes, the college portion, the week after next. Judge, we assert that her mother was the primary aggressor here, so we would object to any classes so she can focus on her studies, and she is maintaining her innocence in this case. But Judge, we're fine with the signature bond if the court decides that she needs the class as well. In terms of the cosigner requirement, does it have to be a parent? Because I just wanted to let the court know she also has a sister who would be able to sign if that's an option as well.
How old is her sister?
60. Miss Blair King, my client, is adopted, and her parents are elderly.
So her sister's 16?
No, 60.
No, 60. Oh, okay. And what is her sister's name?
Tamira Walls.
Can you spell that for me?
Yes. Tamira, last name Walls.
Okay. So I can make it an adult cosigner, and that adult cosigner will be Miss Tamira Walls. As such, it'll be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No further violent contact with her mother, Blair King. no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. And given that she's 17, I'm gonna have her have a curfew, 9 p.m. She has to be in 6 a.m. So the curfew is from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. Okay, if nothing further, good luck to you, Ms. King. Who do we have next?
Position number 20, Jada Peterkin.
Good afternoon. Ms. Peterkin, you've been charged in case 24 CR 008259J with simple battery family violence. Is there a history, Ms. Hardy?
No history to report at this time.
Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. 1 moment. This is an incident from the 22nd of December at about 8 p.m. Police were called to 3380 Peachtree Street Northeast. There they met with the victim. His name is Nasir Edwards. He's here on the Zoom, Your Honor. He reported that that he and the defendant argued, that he'd had violent interactions with her in the past and been assaulted by her in the past, but had never called the police before. She had discovered he was leaving, became angry with him about that, was yelling at him about helping with the rent moving forward. As he packed his things and was walking away, she struck him in the back of the head. He reported that he hit her back, but has never done so previously, and again reports prior violence. We've been in touch with Mr. Edwards. He's here on the Zoom, Your Honor, if you want to sound for him. He does report that they're in a relationship or have been in a relationship and have no children. He'd like no violent contact, Your Honor. We'd ask for a $1,000 SAB through pretrial, no violent contact in an anger management class, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. Thank you.
Mr. Edwards, I see you there. If you would like to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. I would need for you to unmute yourself, activate your camera, and I'll have to swear you in if you choose to. Does not appear as though he wishes to address the court. Mr. McLean?
No objection, Your Honor.
Right, it'll be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1-day anger awareness, no further violent contact with Mr. Edwards, no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, man.
My client was when we say 1-day anger management, is it a 1-hour class, Your Honor?
I believe it's a 1-hour class, yes, Mr.
That's what I thought. Thank you. Okay.
I apologize, Judge. What was the bond amount?
A $2,000 signature bond through pretrial.
Next, Your Honor, is going to be position number 28, Whitmire-Alman.
Good afternoon, Mr. Whitmire-Alman. You've been charged in case 24 CR 008284A with 2 counts of battery family violence. Is there a history, Ms. Hardy?
The last arrest for this defendant was June 27th, 2022, out of Union City for theft by shoplifting. That case is open under 24 CR 0035521A. There's a total of 5 arrest cycles in Georgia. Misdemeanor conviction in 2017 for simple assault. Nothing further to report.
And that's my case, Your Honor.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Allen.
The defendant in front of you also has a conviction for simple assault, 2 counts from 2017, had been ordered to complete anger management. and was unsuccessfully terminated from probation in a disorderly case, originally charged as a battery family violence, but was allowed to plead a disorderly and then did not complete parenting classes. This is an incident from the 22nd of December at about 10 minutes after noon. Police were called to 1082 Fountain Drive, Southwest. There they spoke to Vianna Hickson, that's Veonna. Hickson is Hixson. She reported that she'd been assaulted by her sister. The victim had come to the location there to pick up her children. Her children were at the home. The defendant in front of you overheard the victim speaking about a bed she'd left at the location and had intended on having taken to where she lives. They argued. The defendant in front of you approached her sister, Mrs. Hickson, aggressively, and then struck her with a broom on top of her head, as well as a cell phone that she was holding. The victim had a very profusely bleeding cut to her scalp on the right side of her head and scratches on her face as a result of being struck multiple times. She reported that the defendant used a broomstick and then struck her with the object, the cell phone. It was determined that the young lady in front of you was the predominant aggressor. I believe the victim did fight back to some degree. We're asking for a $3,000 surety, Your Honor, no contact and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. And if you'd sound for the victim in this case, Mrs. Hickson. We did leave our messages today.
If Ms. Hickson is on the line and wishes to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. Okay, Ms. McLeod, good afternoon. Is this your case?
Yes, Your Honor. Is this Terriana Whitmire?
It is.
Yes. Miss Whitmire is my client, Your Honor.
Okay. You can
Your Honor,
proceed.
she is 30 years old. She is the mother of 3 minor children. One is going to be 14 on Friday. She also has a 12-year-old and twins that are 4 years old. This incident was where my client lives. Her mother also lives there, and she tells me that she was the one who called the police after her sister attacked her. She did admit to striking her sister, but this was after the sister attacked her first, Your Honor, and she was the one who called the police. I would ask the court for a signature bond for my client. This is also her home, so of course she's going to be staying there. The alleged victim does not live there. She was just visiting their mother. They have the same mother, but the mom lives there with my client. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay, for each charge, it'll be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 3, makes for a total of a $6,000 signature bond through pretrial level 3. No further contact with Ms. Hickson, no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. So Ms. Whitmire, if your mother allows Ms. Hickson to come to her home, that means that you necessarily can't be there. So you're gonna have to work that out with your mother some way, but you can have no further contact with Ms. Hickson until this is all worked out.
You know, the home is actually my client's home. Her mother lives with her.
Well, I'm just trying to make it clear that if Ms. Hickson comes over to visit her mother and her mother wants to visit Ms. Hickson, then I don't want Ms. Whitmire to be getting in trouble because she's violating this order. So that's my admonition to Ms. Whitmire-Alman. Your client does have her hand up, Ms.
If this is about your bond, then you can ask a question. Otherwise, you can call me. I can explain anything you need explained. But the judge gave you a signature bond.
I just wanted to say that I had already spoke with my mom and I agreed to just leave. I'm gonna leave.
Okay, so as long as you're not around your your sister at this time, Miss Whitmire. However you work that out is fine with the court, okay? All right, good luck to you, ma'am. Who do we have next?
Position number 27, Mr. West.
Good afternoon, Mr. West. You've been charged in case 24 CR 008278A with simple assault, family violence, and simple battery, family violence. Is there a history, Ms. Hardy?
No history to report at this time.
Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. And Mr. West was arrested with a co-defendant, Mr. Smith, in position number 24.
Thank you.
Police were called on the 20th of December at about 9:06 in the morning to 2245 Heaton Drive, apartment G. This is in East Point. The 911 call was in reference to a fight. On the scene, police spoke to the defendant, Mr. West, in front of you. He reported that he'd argued with his mom, and that during that argument, his friend, Mr. J. Smith, in position number 24, told him he was being disrespectful to his mother, and so they started to fight. Things got heated. Mr. Smith told police, that's position number 24, that he observed the defendant being disrespectful and approached his mother aggressively and spit at her, and that they fought. During this altercation, Mr. J. Smith pushed the mother of his child, a pregnant young woman named Yanezia West, Yaneizah. She's here on the Zoom. The mother of the defendant in front of you, Mr. West, his mother, Najima West, Najeamia, said that her son approached her aggressively. She was afraid that he was going to strike her, and he spit in her face, that she wanted to retaliate, but she didn't. That Mr. Smith, the friend of her sons and the father of an unborn child of another child of hers, stepped between them, and that an argument and scuffle ensued, and her daughter Yanezia was struck. So the defendant in front of you is charged with a simple assault for approaching his mom in an aggressive manner and then spitting on her, a simple battery. We spoke to mom today. She reports that they've had arguments in the past, she and her son. This is the first time it's gone this far. She's not in fear and she'd like contact. So we're asking for a $2,000 SOB through pretrial, no violent contact with mom, no contact with co-defendant James Smith, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. And when you're ready, I can talk to you about Mr. Smith.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Ms. McLeod.
Your Honor, we are fine with the state's recommendation for bond.
Okay, and let's see if Ms. Najima West is on the line and wishes to address the court. Now is your opportunity.
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Thank you for being here this afternoon. As such, it'll be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1-day anger awareness, no further violent contact with Ms. West, no further contact with James Smith, no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. West.
Your Honor, what's the breakdown?
One per charge.
Thank you.
Okay.
We can go to position number 24.
Good afternoon, Mr. Smith. You've been charged in case 24 CR 008279A with simple battery against a person who was pregnant. Is there a history, Ms. Hardy?
No history to report at this time.
Ms. Allen?
Your Honor, you just heard the facts. The young man in front of you, defendant James Smith, intervened after Mr. West spit on his mother and approached her aggressively. During that interaction where the two of them engaged in a physical altercation, the young woman named Yesenia intervened. That is Mr. Smith's girlfriend, who is pregnant and also a family member. And she was struck. We talked to her today. She reported that nothing like this has ever happened and that she didn't believe that she was intentionally struck as a result of this incident. She's not in fear. And again, this young man, just like his co-defendant, has no other history. So we're asking for $1,000 SOB, no violent contact with the victim in this case. Again, her name is Yesenia, Yaneizah West. No contact with co-defendant Mr. West in position 28, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
Okay,
I didn't speak. I was pronouncing that name in silence.
Miss Yesenia West is on the line and wishes to address the court. Now is your opportunity.
It's Miss Denasia.
Okay, I'm sorry, man.
No, you're
Yes,
fine.
I apologize.
You're fine.
Okay, would you like to speak on this, ma'am?
No, Your Honor, I do not.
Oh, all right. Well, I'm glad that you, thank you for being here this afternoon.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any objections to any of that, Mr. McLean?
Certainly not, Your Honor.
All right, so it will be $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No further violent contact with the alleged victim. No further contact with Mr. West, and no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Smith.
Your Honor, Ms. Allen, the simple battery, was that converted to simple battery against a pregnant person?
Yes,
Okay, and cruelty, were those NOD?
yes.
Thank you.
I sent an NOD over. I apologize.
No, you good, thank you.
So, yeah, I got you sit right there. Oh, try to get out of his way. I didn't tell you to get up, man. You just told him.
It's gonna be position number 2, Mr. Mondrell Barnes.
Good afternoon, Mr. Barnes. You've been charged in case 24 CR 008262G with criminal trespass. Is there a history, Ms. Hardy?
The last arrest was September 5th, 2023 out of Fulton County for criminal trespass. They have a total of 10 arrest cycles in Georgia. Misdemeanor conviction for simple battery in 2017, 2019 theft of mislaid property. There's a 2017 aggravated assault where they got first offender and it was sealed in 2021. Nothing further to report.
Ms. Makaki?
Thank you, Your Honor. This incident occurred on the 21st. I have that the incident location is 187 Maury Avenue Southwest in Atlanta. The defendant and his girlfriend were caught trespassing at the incident location, which is an abandoned apartment. The defendant told officers that they went inside of the apartment to get out of the cold and because his girlfriend needed to use the restroom. Officers did find clothes and food scattered in the apartment. The state's recommendation, given the particular facts of this case, is a signature bond for Mr. Barnes. Stay away from the incident location. No drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond.
Any objection to any of that, Ms. McLeod?
No, Your Honor, we're fine with the state's recommendation.
Okay, as such, it'll be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. Stay away from the Maury Avenue address. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Barnes.
Sorry, Your Honor, what was that bond amount?
$2,000 signature bond through pretrial.
Thank you. What's in the phone? Next is gonna be, Mr. Raash. He's position 21.
Okay. Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Raash. You've been charged in case 24 CR 008272B with 2 counts of battery. Is there a history, Ms. Hardy?
No, Your Honor, no history to report at this time.
Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident out of Fairburn from December the 22nd. At about 6:30 p.m., the victim in this case, her name's Fabiola Mendez. She made a police report where she lives in Chamblee. She had just fled the location where this incident occurred in Fairburn at 8305 Peachtree Landing Circle. When she made the report, she was informed she needed to follow up with Fairburn since she had left the location where the assault occurred, and that's what she did. She asked for assistance getting a TPO, and she reported that while at the defendant's residence, her boyfriend, he wanted to look at her phone and had accused her of cheating. She turned the phone off, and this made him angry, so he threw it at her, and it struck her in the head. He then grabbed her by her arms and shoved her to the floor. At that point, she left the location. She did have visible injuries. She went to the Fairburn Police Department where they were able to see that she had swelling and redness to her forehead as a result of being struck with the cell phone and bruising on her arms. This is the first arrest for the defendant. We have been in touch with Mrs. Mendez today. She reports that they're no longer in a relationship and have no children, but confirmed the events in the warrant. So we're asking for a $2,000 SOB through pretrial to stay away from Mrs. Mendez wherever she may work or live. Her first name is spelled Fabiola. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons. And that's it. Thank you.
Ms. Mendez, I see you on the line. If you would like to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. You have to unmute yourself for me, Ms. Mendez.
Yes, Your Honor, I'm here. Sorry, I
Okay,
accidentally left the chat, the Zoom
okay.
meeting.
All right, now you're fine. Ms. Mendez, if you would like to address the court on this matter, I'll need for you to raise your right hand for me. Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Nothing but the truth, but I have nothing to say at the moment. Sorry.
Okay.
It was
No,
just
you're
I had
fine.
accidentally left.
Okay, you're fine, Ms. Mendez. I appreciate you being here this afternoon.
Thank you.
Any objections to any of what the state requested?
No, Your Honor.
All right, as such, for each charge, it'll be $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. Makes for a total of a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No further contact with Ms. Mendez. Stay away from her residential address. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, sir.
Judge, what position was this?
This was position 21.
Thank you.
Next, Your Honor, position number 18, Mr. Kenneth Mcmickens.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mcmickens. You've been charged in case 24CR008257Y with simple battery family violence. Is there a history, Ms. Hardy?
The last arrest was April 16th, 2023, out of Hopkinsville, Kentucky for an FTA. They have a total of 19 arrest cycles, arrests out of Georgia and Kentucky. Misdemeanor conviction in 2018 for operating motor vehicle under the influence of alcohol or drugs. There's a 1999 possession of Schedule I controlled substance felony conviction. Nothing further to report.
Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident from December the 22nd at about 10:25 a.m. In the South Fulton jurisdiction. Police were called to 2260 Crossnail Drive. There they met with the spouse of this defendant. Her name is Yolanda Brewer. She reported that the defendant choked her. Those are the words in the police report and the warrant, with both of his hands. After she said she didn't want to fix him a plate and bring it to him, she'd cooked the dinner. He called her a bitch. And he was seen to have a scratch on his face, Your Honor. We spoke with Mrs. Brewer today and asked her some questions. She reported that the defendant did restrict her breathing, but she was not in a place where she thought she was going to lose consciousness. She did have a hard time breathing, though. She said that they have had arguments in the past, but that this is the first time he strangled her. She's requesting no contact. We'd like a $2,000 SOB, Your Honor. The defendant does have a 2023 FTA out of Kentucky, but the majority of his convictions are from 2018 and earlier. And I don't see any convictions for this kind of a case, Your Honor. So we're asking for a $2,000 SOB through pretrial, no contact with Mrs. Brewer to stay away from that location, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. And I believe she's joined us on the Zoom if you call for her, Yolanda Brewer. Thank you.
Yes, Ms. Brewer, if you want to ask the court, now is your opportunity to do so. I may for you to unmute yourself, activate your camera, and I'll have to swear you in if you choose. Doesn't appear so. Mr. McLean, any objection to any of the state's requests?
None, Your Honor, thank you.
All right, it'll be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No further contact with Yolanda Brewer. Stay away from her residential address. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, sir.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
You as well, sir.
Next, Your Honor, we're gonna go to the add-on calendar. We're gonna start with position number 1 on the add-on calendar, Mr. Christopher Hill.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Hill. You've been charged in case 24 CR 008287J with simple battery family violence. Is there a history, Ms. Harder? Ms. Hardy?
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
You're fine.
The last arrest for this defendant was June the 15th, 2019, out of Fayette County for driving while license suspended or revoked. They have a total of 6 arrest cycles in Georgia. There's a misdemeanor conviction for obstruction where they received first offender treatment. Also with that case was criminal damage to property. First offenders was sealed in 2002. Nothing further to report.
Mr. Peterkin?
Thank you, Your Honor. I have that this incident happened on the 21st. The incident location is 3775 King Edward Trail Southwest in Atlanta. The victim in this case is Nanette Calloway, who shares children with the defendant. The defendant is accused of slapping the victim in the face during an argument. The defendant told officers, "I ain't gonna lie, I did slap her." He also stated that at no moment was the victim physically violent towards him. The victim did tell officers that she didn't want to press charges. She just wanted him to leave the residence. The incident occurred in front of their minor daughter, who was a juvenile with the initials DC. Our office has spoken with Ms. Calloway, who confirms her and the defendant are in a relationship, live together, and share 3 children. She also confirmed the events in the warrant, stated the defendant has never been violent with her in the past. She's not afraid of him and wants to continue contact, and also for him to return to the residence. Given that his history doesn't include any violent arrests or convictions, the state is okay with a signature bond through pretrial services, no further violent contact with the victim, that he undergoes some anger awareness, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond. And I would ask the court to sound for Ms. Nanette Calloway.
Ms. Calloway is on the line and wishes to address the court. Now is your opportunity. Doesn't appear so. Any objection to any of the state's requests, Ms. Felder?
No objection. Thank you, Judge.
Okay, it'll be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1, 1-day anger awareness, no further violent contact with Ms. Calloway, no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Hill.
Next is add-on 2, Mr. Nasir Marcus.
Good afternoon, Mr. Marcus. You've been charged in case 24 CR 008286F with 2 counts of simple battery family violence, 2 counts of criminal trespass and damage to property, and 2 counts of criminal trespass. Is there a history, Ms. Hardy?
The last arrest was March 15th of this year out of Sherman County for aggravated ID theft. They have a total of 12 arrest cycles with arrests out of Georgia, Alabama, Florida, Tennessee. Looks like a juvenile cycle out of Delaware and Oregon. Misdemeanor conviction in 2024 for a DUI. There's a 2021 felony conviction for possession of marijuana with intent. Nothing further to report.
Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. The defendant in front of you was picked up in the last few days and had multiple outstanding warrants. So he was on first appearance today in felony court, but the case in front of you is from June. Let's see. Specifically the 16th of June of this year at 2 a.m. Police were called to 2099 Boulevard Southeast, unit number 1315. There they spoke to two ladies, Ilyn Span, Ilyn is spelled I-L-Y-N, and her mother, Angela Span. The defendant in front of you had lived with both of them at a certain time, at a time in the past, and I believe he shares a child with Mrs. Ilyn Span. The victim, Mrs. Span, the younger Ilyn, she reports that she went to the movies with the defendant and then went home. They were arguing. Because he previously assaulted her in the past, she went and got a pair of scissors. He was grabbing her and holding her down on the couch. Her mother heard this argument, Mrs. Angela Span, and she came out of her bedroom. She witnessed the defendant grabbing her daughter and shoving her around, holding her down on the couch. Mom, Angela, began recording the defendant as he did this. He smacked the phone from her hand and damaged it. 911 was called. He also then broke both televisions in the home, one belonging to each mom and the victim, and he set the victim's wig on fire. Police were able to look at the recording, which did corroborate that the defendant was holding the victim down on the sofa. We did speak to Mrs. Ilyn Span today. She reports that the defendant already paid her back for her wig, but he also destroyed her Versace glasses. That's not included in the police report. Based on the multi-state criminal history that includes 15 SC 139339, which is the open felony case in Superior Court here that's in judicial hold, has been scheduled for a first appearance, as well as multiple drug and DUI arrests and convictions, and that case on first appearance today, which is also assault. It's actually criminal damage to property in the second degree, including an assault. We're asking for a $4,000 surety, Your Honor. No contact with either Ilyn or Angela Span, S-P-A-N-N. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons, and stay away from wherever they're living at this point. We did speak to Ilyn Span today. She reports that they're not in a relationship anymore, that they do share a child. She confirmed what happened. She says that the defendant has been violent with her in the past, and she's called police and made reports about him, but he's never been arrested until now. Thank you. If you'd call for her, Mrs. Span.
Either Angela or Ilyn Span wishes to address the court. Now is your opportunity to do so. You have to unmute yourself and activate your camera for me if you choose. Okay, doesn't appear as though they wish to address the court. Oh, there we go. Yes, ma'am.
I'm
Wait. You're not driving, are you?
I am. I'm on the way to a dentist appointment for my
All right,
son.
well, that's very dangerous for yourself and others on the roadway, so I'm happy to hear from you, but you're gonna have to pull over.
Okay, yeah, no problem. Okay.
All right, I'll come back to you.
I'm pulling over right now. I'm pulled over now.
Okay. All right. If you can raise your right hand for me, ma'am. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, you can place your hand down and tell me your name again, please.
Island span.
Yes, ma'am. What would you like to tell the court?
So I'm not requesting no contact from me. I'm just requesting a no violent order towards me because we still have to communicate and see each other for our son. So I just want a no violent order.
Okay. Has he been violent with you in the past?
Yes, he has.
How old's your child?
My child is 4 years old. He'll be 5 in February.
Okay, at this point in time, I'm not gonna have there be contact. You're gonna have to go through a third party. I'm not gonna restrict him from seeing his child, but you all are gonna have to go through a third party to for visitation and transfer of the child, okay?
Okay.
All right. Thank you for being here this afternoon, ma'am.
Thank you.
Mr. McLean?
Sir, we understand what we heard about the history. We would ask the court to consider a signature bond. If that's not possible, Your Honor, a $1,000 or $2,000 or $1,500 surety bond.
Okay, so for each of the simple batteries, it will be a $500 good bond. For each of the other charges, it'll be a $100 good bond. That makes for a total of a $1,400 good bond. No further contact with either of the spams. Third-party transfer of the minor child for visitation. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Marcus.
Your Honor, we can go to ACDC.
Okay. Are you ready for us, ACDC?
ACDC? If not, we're gonna go to position 1 on the regular calendar. That's gonna be Hassan Abdul.
Oh, okay. Milton's there. You want me to go to Milton or
You said that. Yeah, you can go to ACDC.
Okay, Officer Milton, you got in right under the wire.
Right.
Yes, sir.
All right. Let me.
Position number 4,
Okay.
Miss Kimberly Benton.
And let me address all the young ladies that are there at one time. Good afternoon. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you. You have a right to have an attorney present at these proceedings. If you do not have a private attorney, we're providing you with the assistance of a public defender this afternoon if you choose to utilize their service. Ms. Benton, you have been charged in case 24 CR 008281F with battery family violence. Is there a history, Ms. Hardy?
No history to report at this time.
Yes. Ms.
Your
Allen?
Honor, just for the court's information, Ms. Benton has 2 other co-defendants, so position number 3.
Okay.
As well as position number 23.
3 and 23.
Thank you.
Okay. And they're all female. Is that right? Okay.
No, position number
Yeah.
3, Britton Benton is a male.
Number 3. Okay. And is Benton?
He's right here in courtroom 2, Your Honor.
Okay, very good. So I'll come to him. I'll come to him next.
Okay.
Okay. So yes, Ms. McConkey.
Thank you, Your Honor. So I have that this incident occurred on the 22nd of this month at 5830 Mallory Road in Atlanta. The incident, like you heard, involved several individuals: Defendant Britton Benton, Miss Kimberly Benton, Articia Savage, and also Sharvicia Jones, who was cited, given a citation, but she was not arrested. Kimberly Benton told officers that her husband, Britton, was being ignorant and disrespectful and was intoxicated that day. She accuses him of throwing her to the ground and punching her in the face. Artesia Savage, who is Mr. Britton Benton's stepdaughter and Miss Kimberly Benton's daughter, stated that her mother told her that Mr. Benton had hit her, and when she approached Mr. Benton to confront him about it, he began to hit her and punched her multiple times, causing a bruise and small laceration to her face. Mrs. Charvicia Jones, who I stated was not arrested as she is currently pregnant, stated that Mr. Benton put his hands on her as well. This caused her husband, Jesse Jones, to step in and tackle Mr. Benton to the ground. Mr. Benton told officers that he had been arguing with his wife, Miss Kimberly Benton, and then people started beating him in the face, so he locked himself in the bathroom. He said all the women hit him and he didn't know why they were beating him, and this was all over a big misunderstanding. Ms. Benton denied that she ever hit her husband at any point, but Mr. Benton did have a laceration on his lip and blood around his nose. Officers also noted blood on the floor of the home. Ms. Benton is charged with striking Mr. Benton in the face. Officers asked all parties involved to write down the events that took place, and after reading all their written statements, decided to arrest the three parties that are here today and cite Ms. Jones. Our office has spoken with Ms. Jones, who stated that she had come into town to have her baby near her family, and everyone had been drinking that day except her, so they were all pretty intoxicated. She stated that Artesia and Britton were in the laundry room, and Artesia and Britton got into an argument, which caused Artesia to cry. At that point, her mother, Kimberly, then confronted Britton about making her daughter cry. She states she didn't see the altercation between her mom and Mr. Benton, but her mom did come in the living room screaming that the defendant had hit her. At that point, they confronted Mr. Benton about hitting their mother, and that is when he swung at Artesia and hit her in the face. Ms. Jones says that she tried to intervene, but Mr. Benton swung at her twice. She did clarify that Mr. Benton never hit her. And she says that she wants to continue having contact with the defendant. And I don't think there have been any violent incidents between these parties in the past. So for Ms. Kimberly Benton, the state's recommendation is a signature bond, no further contact with Britton Benton, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond. I'm not sure if I mentioned this before, but the two daughters, Artesia and Charvicia, do not live at the incident location. That incident location belongs to the Bentons.
Okay. So just so I have this right, Ms. McConkey, Ms. Kimberly and Mr. Britton are married, and their daughter is Artesia.
Yes, and well, Artesia and Charvicia are Miss Kimberly's daughters. They are Mr. Benton's stepdaughters.
Okay, and the other one, is she the one with the last name Jones?
Yes, she is the one with the last name Jones, and she was not arrested, just cited.
Okay, all right, thank you. Ms. McLeod.
Yes, Your
Honor. Yes, and you're representing Ms. Kimberly?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, yes, you can proceed.
My client does not have a record, Your Honor, based on what I heard pre-trial say. She's 51 years old. She has lived in the Atlanta area for some time. I would ask the court to give her a signature bond so she can get out of jail. She does want to have contact with her family members based on what she tells me. No further violent contact, which is what she would prefer.
Okay. So, Ms. Hardy, are you with me?
Yes, Your Honor.
Can I go ahead and get Britton Benton's history and Artesia Savage's history, please?
Okay, for Britton Benton, their last arrest was August 17th, 2019, out of Hiram for DUI. There is a 2012 conviction, misdemeanor conviction for DUI, 2016 reckless conduct, 2020 DUI. There's a felony conviction in 2016 for terroristic threats and acts. And what was the other position that you needed?
It's number 23.
Okay, and for that defendant, the last arrest was June 8th, 2010 out of Douglasville for simple assault. That did result in a misdemeanor conviction, and that's their only arrest cycle. Nothing further.
Okay, and Ms. Battle, you're representing Britton,
That's correct, Judge.
and does he want contact?
He does.
Okay. All right, so for Kimberly Benton, position number 4, it will be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1, 1-day anger awareness, no further violent contact with either of her daughters or with her husband, no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. No alcohol, just so you all know, means absolutely no alcohol. If I find out that any of you all have been consuming alcohol, and now I'm addressing you, Miss Kimberly, then this bond will be revoked. All right, good luck to you, ma'am. Ms. McCockey, are you also handling Mr. Benton?
I am, Your Honor, and our recommendation is the same except for Mr. Benton. Given his history, we would ask that he either do an ADT, random screens, go to AA meetings. It does appear that he has a drinking problem just based on the facts of this case and also his arrests and convictions in the past that involve alcohol use.
Okay, and since I have not addressed him as of yet, I'm sorry, Mr. Benton, good afternoon. You have been charged in case 24CR008270F with battery family violence and 2 counts of simple battery family violence. Yes, Ms. Badel.
Yes. And Ms. McCokie, that was a signature bond recommendation?
Yes, it was.
Okay. And Judge, we have no problem with that. If Your Honor wants to impose one of the options, then we would ask for the AA.
Okay, so for the battery, it'll be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. For each of the simple batteries, $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1 makes for a total of a $4,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No further violent contact with any of the family members. An ADET, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Benton. And I take it that this is Ms. Savage that's in front of me at ACDC?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, good afternoon, Ms. Savage. You have been charged in case 24CR008271F with 2 counts of battery family violence. Ms. Savage, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you. You have a right to have an attorney present at these proceedings. It's my understanding that we do not have an attorney for you this afternoon, given that our public defender is representing one and Ms. McLeod is representing the other. As such, I can either reset your case for tomorrow or you can proceed pro se. That means without the advice of an attorney this afternoon. What would you like for me to do?
I would like to proceed.
Okay. And as I said, Ms. Savage, you've been charged with 2 counts of battery family violence. Anything to add to this, Ms. Allen? Is this your
No,
case?
Your Honor, there just clearly is a problem with the consumption of alcohol. I would note Mr. Britton has multiple DUI convictions. It looks like he was offered an opportunity to take part in DUI court. He just completed probation on a DUI case in 2022. So it sounds like the people in his family need to support him by also abstaining.
Okay.
We ask for no violent contact.
So Ms. Savage, it'll be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1 on each charge. makes for a total of a $4,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No further violent contact with any of your family members. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. No alcohol means absolutely no alcohol while you're out on this pretrial bond. You understand me, Ms. Savage?
Yes.
All right. Good luck to you, ma'am.
Your Honor, next we have Mr. Hassan Abdul, position number 1.
Good afternoon, Mr. Abdul. You've been charged in case 24 CR 008260F with loitering and prowling. Is there a history, Ms. Hardy?
Excuse me, the last arrest was October 11th, 2024 out of Lexington, South Carolina for forgery. They have a total of 37 arrest cycles with arrests out of Georgia, South Carolina, Virginia, and Florida. There's a felony conviction in 2024 for burglary and possession of tools for the commission of a crime. 2017, possession of Schedule 1 or 2 controlled substance and identity theft. 2014, burglary and theft by taking. There's misdemeanor conviction for theft by shoplifting in 2021 and criminal trespass. There's an open case for burglary, criminal damage to property, and possession of tools for the commission of a crime. That case number is 23 CP 219056. And it also appears that they're on probation for burglary and possession of tools for the commission of a crime. That case number is 24 SC 003123. Nothing further to report.
Thank you.
Your Honor, I have that this incident location occurred at the ENT of North Georgia at 755 Mount Vernon Highway. The defendant is accused of loitering inside the incident location after the business was closed. He was seen on video sleeping inside the location. He currently has a $600 surety bond. We're asking that that bond be increased to $1,000. Stay away from the incident location. No drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond. He does have a pretty lengthy criminal history, so there is a concern that he will reoffend upon release. I'm not sure if a social worker visit is necessary, but I'm sure PD Bader can speak more to that to see if he needs any services.
What ENT of North Georgia? Is that a medical facility?
Yes, I think it's like ear, nose, and throat.
Okay, so he was sleeping in the office area or the office space?
Yes, he was sleeping in the office space after it was closed, and the only people that were supposed to be there were the people who were cleaning the building. He states that they let him inside, but no one could confirm that they actually did.
Okay, Ms. Bader?
Yes, Judge. Mr. Abdul is a veteran. He was in the Navy from 1985 to 1990. And he has been residentially challenged and wanting to get services from the VA. So I know that he has other matters pending. So we would just ask to leave the bond as is, and we will be in touch with Mr. Abdul regarding services.
So he has make sure he has other things that are holding him in custody?
That's correct, Judge.
Okay. All right, I'll leave it where it is. A $600 good bond, a social worker visit to assist with housing, no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Abdul.
Next, we have position 6, Ms. Cole.
Ms. Cole, you've been charged in case 24 CR 008261C with reckless conduct. Is there a history, Ms. Hardy?
The last arrest was July 25th, 2023 out of Cobb County for theft by shoplifting. That is their only arrest cycle. Nothing further.
McConkey?
Yes, Your Honor. I have that this incident occurred on the 22nd. The victim in this case is Derek Andrews. I have that the incident location is 8350 Roswell Road in Sandy Springs. The defendant is accused of firing a gun into her cabinet, which caused it to penetrate through the adjacent apartment and ended up lodging itself into Mr. Andrews's kitchen cabinet. Ms. Shania Jackson, who was with the defendant at the time, told officers that the defendant was intoxicated and she began playing with Ms. Jackson's gun. The defendant thought the gun was unloaded and she pointed it at the cabinet and pulled the trigger. Both women panicked at that time and left the scene. They threw Ms. Jackson's gun under the bed. The defendant did admit eventually to firing the gun. She stated, however, that her and Ms. Jackson pulled the trigger simultaneously while they were fighting over the gun. Our office has spoken to Mr. Andrews, who stated that he was sitting on the couch when he heard a loud pop and he went to see what it was, and that's when he noticed the hole in the cabinet. He stated that no one was in the kitchen at the time of the incident, thankfully, and he doesn't know the defendant. The state's recommendation is a $10,000 surety bond. Thankfully, no one was harmed during this incident. No further contact with Derek Andrews. I understand that it looks like they live in the same apartment complex, so we would just ask that she stay away from Mr. Andrews's apartment. I'm not sure how I'm guessing they're pretty close to each other, but we would just ask that she have no further contact with him, avoid him as much as possible. Of course, don't go to his apartment, which I think is apartment 21R. No drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond. And I would ask the court to sound for Mr. Andrews.
Mr. Andrews is on the line and wishes to address the court. Now is your opportunity. Okay, doesn't appear so. Ms. Bader?
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Cole was born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia. All her ties are here. She graduated from high school, Grace Christian Academy, and went to nursing school as well. She's been in the medical field for 6 years and works at retirement homes. She's fine with no contact with Derek Andrews and doesn't know him personally. Judge, this is, she doesn't have a history as far as we heard from pre-trial. Christmas is around the corner. Judge, we are asking for a signature bond in this case. She'll be willing to oblige for any anything required on a bond, through signature bond, and would be fine to report to pre-trial as well.
It's going to be a $10,000 signature bond through pretrial level 3, alcohol drug evaluation and any treatment that may be necessary, relinquish all firearms, no further contact with Mr. Andrews, stay away from his apartment, no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck, Ms. Cole.
Next, Your Honor, we have position number 5, Mr. Timothy Chastain.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chastain. You have been charged in case 24 CR 008273G with theft by receiving stolen property, fleeing or attempting to elude a police officer, driving while your license was suspended or revoked, no insurance, and attempting to misrepresent a tag. Is there a history, Ms. Hardy?
The last arrest was February the 7th, 2024 out of Oakwood for driving while license suspended or revoked. They have a total of 9 arrest cycles. There's a misdemeanor conviction in 2010 for a DUI. They have an open case for possession of Schedule II controlled substance and possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony. That case number is 24 SC 001173. There appears to be a hold out of Calhoun for a probation violation. The date of that warrant is August the 9th, 2024. Also out of Oakwood. And the date of that one is August 15th, 2024. And out of McDonough. The date of that one is August 19th, 2024. Nothing further to report.
Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor. Officers observed the defendant driving a 2000 Toyota Tundra. They attempted to conduct a traffic stop, but the defendant fled and evaded arrest. The tag on the defendant's vehicle fell off as he was fleeing, and it was discovered that the tag actually belonged to a Scott Edmondson, and the tag had been reported stolen. The defender's driver's license had also been suspended, and his vehicle did not have any valid insurance. The state's recommendation is a $1,500 surety bond, $300 on each count, no driving without a valid license or documentation, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond. Given his history and open case, we don't believe he qualifies for a signature bond. Also, stay away from the person who owned the tag that was stolen, Mr. Scott Edmonston.
Yes, Ms. Bader.
Yes, Judge. Mr. Chastain is 36 years old, born in Stockbridge, Georgia, grew up in Fairborn, Georgia. He works in fire protection. He's been doing that for 2 years and he's been married for 15 years. Judge, this incident date is from August 21st. Judge, we are asking for a signature bond on this case so he can move on and handle his hold. Thank you.
$500 bond for the fleeing, $1,000 good bond for the suspended license, a $500 good bond, no insurance, $250 good bond, attempting to misrepresent, $250 good bond. Makes for a total of $2,500 good bond. No further contact with Mr. Edmonston, and no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond.
Your Honor, what was
Judge,
the
do you
amount
mind going back down the list?
Okay. Number one, 500. The fleeing, 1,000. Driving while license suspended, 500, and the other two, 250. I think that comes up to 2,500, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good luck to you, Mr. Chastain.
Next, we have position number 8, Ms. Evans.
Good afternoon, Ms. Evans. You've been charged in case 24 CR 008274A with improper erratic lane change, fleeing or attempting to elude a police officer, willful obstruction of law enforcement officers, and reckless driving. Is there history, Ms. Evans? Ms. Hardy?
No history to report at this time.
Yes, Ms. McConkey.
Yes, Your Honor. I have that this incident occurred on the 20th. Officers observed the defendant enter the BP gas station at a high rate of speed, and then she began pumping her gas. She randomly yelled at the officers that were in, I believe it was an unmarked vehicle, that they should pull her over and take her to jail. She then exited the gas station, and officers observed her driving at a high rate of speed. It seemed like she was going about 72 miles per hour on a road where she was supposed to be going 45 miles per hour. She was erratically changing lanes as she was driving, and she almost hit another vehicle. Officers at that point attempted to conduct a traffic stop by activating their emergency lights and sirens, but the defendant just kept driving and refused to stop. She eventually did drive into a residential neighborhood and then exited the vehicle. When officers tried to detain her, she resisted arrest by pulling away, falling to the ground, and tucking her hands so that officers could not handcuff her. She also refused to comply with officers' commands that she stand up. Given that this is her first arrest, the state would be all right with her having a signature bond, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while she's out on bond.
Any objection to any of that, Ms. Bader?
No objection. Thank you.
All right, so for each charge, it'll be $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1, makes for a total of a $4,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Evans.
Next, Your Honor, is going to be position number 7, Mr. Timothy Early.
Mr. Early, you've been charged in case 24 CR 008263H with theft by taking. Is there a history, Ms. Hardy?
The last arrest was January 30th, 2019, out of Fulton County for aggravated assault and theft by taking. They have a total of 5 arrest cycles in Georgia. There is a misdemeanor conviction from 2019 for a fray. Nothing further to report.
Ms. McConkey?
Yes, Your Honor. I have that this incident occurred March 13th of last year. The defendant is accused of stealing $510 from the subway located at 850 Oak Street Southwest in Atlanta. The defendant was an employee at the location and was taking customers' orders and then placing the money into his pocket and not into the register. The theft was caught on video. The state's recommendation is a signature bond through pretrial services. Stay away from the incident location. I'm assuming he no longer is employed there. No drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond.
Any objection, Ms. Bader?
No objection.
As such, it'll be $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. Stay away from the subway on Oak Street. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Early.
Next is position 17, Ms. Lewis.
Good afternoon, Ms. Lewis. You have been charged in case 24 CR 008265E with battery, family violence, and criminal trespass and damage to property. Is there a history, Ms. Hardy?
No history to report at this time.
Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. 1 moment. This is an incident from the 21st of December. Police were called at about 7:20 in the morning to 515 Fulton Street. There they met with the defendant's mom. Her name is Mia Lewis. She reported that she had been taking care of her grandchildren at the location while the defendant was working, that the defendant stopped responding to phone calls at about 3 a.m. Once she began to answer those calls again, they argued that the defendant came to the location, was screaming and yelling at her about how, I guess you want to be paid for babysitting. The defendant, her daughter, started to throw things around the kitchen, including pots and pans, and damaged a microwave. When mom, Mia Lewis, tried to stop her, the defendant picked up a wooden object and struck her mother with it. She had bruising to her lip. The police documents note that a witness was present with their entourage and that police had to be asked to help disperse the crew of people there because they were arguing and yelling at the victim and family members. We did speak with Mrs. Lewis today. She reports that they don't live together, that the defendant is her child, and that they've had multiple issues. She said, luckily, her son was there to break things up. She reports that she would like no contact and wants her to stay away from the residence. If you would sound for Mrs. Mia Lewis, we're recommending a $2,000 SOB through pretrial to stay away from that location. That's 515 Fulton Street. 1 day anger management, no contact with mom, of course, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
Ms. Mia Lewis is on the line and wishes to address the court. Now is your opportunity to do so. Doesn't appear so. Is this your case, Ms. Bader?
It is, Judge. Just for Your Honor, Ms. Lewis denies these allegations, and we have no objection to what the state is recommending.
Okay. For the battery, it'll be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. For the criminal trespass, a $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. Makes for a total of a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. 1 day anger awareness. No further contact with Ms. Lewis. Stay away from the Fulton Street address. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Lewis.
Next is position number 9, Mr. Zachary Forbes.
Okay. Mr. Forbes, you've been charged in case 24 CR 008264D with battery, family violence. Is there a history, Ms. Hardy?
No, Your Honor, no history to report for this defendant.
Thank you. Ms. McConkey?
Yes, Your Honor. I have that this incident occurred on the 1st. The incident location is 100 Willow Run in Roswell, Georgia. The victim in this case is Brittany Forbes, who is the defendant's wife. Officers arrived at the location and saw 3 individuals on the ground engaged in a struggle. The defendant told officers that he thought his wife was cheating on him. And when he went to confront her and the other man hit him. Both the victim and the other male stated they were trying to get away in the other male's vehicle when the defendant pulled the victim out of the car and began striking her. The victim did sustain a bite mark on her finger. Our office has spoken with Ms. Forbes, who states her and the defendant are married and they live together at 12085 Brookfield Club in Roswell. They have 3 children. She stated that the incident occurred inside of their neighborhood, and she was at her neighborhood clubhouse with a friend, and the defendant showed up intoxicated and assaulted her. Then the defendant left. She states that a mutual male friend then offered to take her and her female friend back to their house. And they got into the male's car, and the defendant showed up and began fighting her and the male friend. She stated that she did receive a scrape to her forehead also during the fight. She stated the defendant, when we asked her if the defendant had ever been violent with her in the past, she asked our office if she had to answer that question. When we told her that if she didn't, then we would imply that he had been violent with her in the past. She then told us that no, the defendant had never been violent with her before. She states she's not in fear. She wants to continue contact. She wants the defendant to return to the residence. I just will let the court know that the parties have been in contact since the defendant has been in jail. The victim asked him if he remembers what happened the previous night. He says yes. They talk about him, seeing her with another person. She asked him, what he was on the night before. She tells him that he almost bit her finger off, that he needs to understand what he's done. She then asked him if he remembers hitting her when they were at the club. She says that the defendant pushed her arm and hit her in the chest and shoulder in front of about 4 other people. They continue to just talk about what happened in their relationship and that they need to be there for each other. The state's recommendation is a signature bond. Based on the conversation that the parties had over the phone, it does appear that there has been some violence between these parties in the past. We would ask for no drugs, weapons, or alcohol, that the defendant undergo random screens. I will leave it to the court's discretion whether a stay away and no further contact should be implemented at this time. I think if they do have contact, he should probably undergo an FEIP or at the very least some anger awareness. And I would just ask the court to sound for Ms. Brittany if she's on the Zoom.
Ms. Forbes, I see you on the line. If you wish to address the court, it's your opportunity to do so. I'll need for you to activate your camera.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. If you'd like to address the court, I'll need for you to raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, you can place your hand down, Ms. Forbes. What would you like to tell the court?
We did discuss, the past, and I think that what happened on Friday, there was a lot of alcohol involved with everyone, and this doesn't happen regularly, or this doesn't happen. This hasn't happened in the past. This is just an incident, a very bad incident. I feel safe. I want him home. We have 3 small children. I definitely want him to come back home and for Christmas for our kids. And I feel safe, and I feel that he will undergo, whatever he needs to get better and get back on track. Pardon?
Is there a problem with alcohol in the household?
I know, Your Honor. I believe that this whole incident was because too much alcohol was consumed.
Okay, is there a problem with anger in the household?
When there's alcohol consumed.
Thank you for being here this afternoon, Ms. Forbes.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. McLean.
The signature bond with appropriate conditions would be appropriate.
All right, it'll be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. 5 days of anger awareness. No further violent contact with Miss Forbes. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you both.
Next, Your Honor, we have position 25, Ms. Stewart.
Okay. Good afternoon, Ms. Stewart. You have been charged in case 24 CR 008283J with criminal trespass and willful obstruction of law enforcement officers. Is there a history, Ms. Hardy?
No, Your Honor, no history to report at this time.
Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident from the 21st of December, specifically at the IKEA at 441 16th Street Northwest. Police were called at about 4 p.m. They'd already been there that same day. The employees there, including Mr. Jesse Rubio, reported that the defendant, after being asked to leave previously, and being observed walking around in the location and laying down on the displays, including the beds, had laid down in the waiting area with her sleeping bag and belongings and refused to leave. Police went and spoke with her, asked her to get up, reminded her that she'd been asked to leave, and she refused to do so. She refused to get up or give police her hands. We're asking for a $2,000 SOB, Your Honor. We'd ask for a social worker visit, no drugs, alcohol, and weapons, and stay away from the location.
Yes, Mr. McClain.
Wait. Who is it? Stewart. Oh, okay. I'm sorry, Your Honor. I was to the right there. Miss Stewart is in agreement with the signature bond, Your Honor.
Is she in need of a social worker visit?
Well, it didn't sound like she had ever been arrested anywhere, and so perhaps not. This was more of a philosophical misunderstanding of the requirements of the law. And I explained property law to her and criminal law, and she said she understood.
Well, I just want to make sure that, that I'm doing the best thing for her, Mr. McClain. I mean, if she's allegedly accused of sleeping in a sleeping bag in an IKEA store. So if she needs some social worker help, I want to get her that type of help. If she needs a BHET, I want to be able to be proactive as opposed to, just putting her back. So I do want her to have a social worker visit. So it's going to
right, housing advice. I don't think a BHET is necessary.
Okay.
Your Honor, her address is Queens, New York.
Okay, so it sounds like she might be in need of some assistance with housing. So at the very least, Mr. McClain, I want you to assist her with that. There'll be a $1,000 signature bond through pretrial on each count, makes for a total of a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. Stay away from the IKEA store on 16th Street. A social worker visit, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Stewart.
Bye, Your Honor.
Okay, will I see you tomorrow? Well, you don't know yet, I guess. I might see you tomorrow.
Definitely.
Okay, all right. Have a good evening.
Next, Your Honor, is going to be position number 15, Mr. Taiwan Jones.
Okay, good afternoon, Mr. Jones. You've been charged in case 24 CR 008267H with simple battery family violence. Is there a history, Ms. Hardy?
The last arrest was July 23rd, 2019, out of Atlanta for a probation violation. There's a 2013 felony conviction for theft by shoplifting, 2017 misdemeanor conviction for simple battery, 2011 criminal trespass and simple battery. Nothing further to I'm sorry, there's a total of 24 arrest cycles. Nothing further to report.
Yes, Your Honor. This incident happened at 428 Atwood Street Southwest in Atlanta. The victim is Taquantis Jones, who is the defendant's son. The parties were having a heated discussion about football that escalated when the defendant shoved and tackled the victim. The victim told officers on scene that he did not want to press charges and that the altercation was a simple father and son shove back and forth. The defendant does have some violent arrests and convictions in his history, including some simple battery arrests out of the early 2000s. But given the statement that his son made to officers and the facts of this case, the state is okay with a signature bond, no further violent contact with the victim, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol while out on bond. We would ask that he undergo some anger awareness, though.
Yes, Ms. Pate.
No objection, Judge.
$2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1 day anger awareness, no further violent contact with Mr. Jones, his son, and no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Jones.
Next is gonna be position number 22, Mr. Robinson.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Robinson. You have been charged in case 24. Miss Gloria, I need for you to go on mute for me, please, ma'am. Mr. Robinson, excuse me. You've been charged in case 24 CR 008266A with 2 counts of battery family violence. Is there a history, Miss Hardy?
The last arrest was May the 4th, 2016 out of DeKalb for theft by shoplifting. There's a total of 4 arrest cycles in Georgia. Misdemeanor conviction in 2016 for theft by shoplifting. 2004 felony conviction for possession of cocaine with intent. Nothing further to report.
Miss Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident from December the 22nd at 1981 MLK Drive Jr., excuse me. Police were called based on a dispute report. On scene, they met with the victim, Hudaria Cosby. Hudaria Cosby joined us on Zoom, Your Honor. He reported that he'd been in a dispute with his friend who he was staying with at the time. The victim was seen to have visible injuries, scratches under the area of his right eye and a busted lip. He reported that during an argument, the defendant approached him and punched him in the face multiple times. Defendant did come to the location and say that he defended himself and denied making any physical contact with the victim. We spoke to Mr. Cosby today. He reported that he was living with the defendant. They're best friends. He confirmed what occurred, and he says he's left the residence, but plans on not returning and wants no contact. We'd ask for a $2,000 SOB through pretrial, Your Honor, no contact with Mr. Cosby, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. Thank you. And if you'd sound for Mr. Cosby.
Activate your camera.
Hello?
Yes, sir. And you need to point it towards you.
Okay, yes, so I've been knowing
Hold
him
up, Mr. Cosby, I need to see your face, sir, and I'm gonna have to swear you in. So you've got it pointed towards your console right now.
Okay, how do,
There
can you see me now?
You can, yes, sir. Can you raise your right hand for me, please?
Yes, sir.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
you can
sir.
place your yes, Mr. Cosby. What would you like to tell the court?
I've been knowing him for 3 years, so we was close friends. But he likes to argue all the time. And then I moved in with him and his girlfriend, and I've taken them back and forth to work. But he gets an attitude when he don't get his way. He has jumped out of my car 2 or 3 times because he wanted to go somewhere and I didn't want to take him. So this the 3rd time that he put his hands on me. When I went to get my clothes, he came downstairs talking crazy and he swung on me. And then he picked up some metal thing and my lip was busted, my hand swollen, and he's scratching my eyes. So, and then his girlfriend, and his girlfriend called my phone and said that she's going to bust out my windows. I do not want to be around him no more. I don't want to talk to him. I just want him to stay away from me. That's it.
Okay, and you don't live at the MLK Junior Drive address anymore.
No, sir, I
Okay.
don't.
All right. I appreciate you being here this afternoon, Mr. Cosby.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Mr. McLean?
No objection.
All right, for each charge, it'll be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1, makes for a total of a $4,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. 1-day anger awareness, no further contact with Mr. Cosby, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Robinson.
Thank you.
I'm good.
Yeah, you can. Next, Your Honor, this is going to be position number 29, Mr. Tony Williams.
Okay, good afternoon, Mr. Williams. You've been charged in case 24 CR 008280C with simple battery, family violence, and theft by taking. Is there a history, Ms. Hardy?
The last arrest was May the 13th, 2024, out of Fulton County for criminal damage to property, aggravated stalking, and false imprisonment. That case is open under 24 PI 003394. There's a total of 5 arrest cycles in Georgia. It appears that they're on probation for battery, family violence, and criminal trespass. That case number is 24 CR 001793C. Nothing further to report.
Thank you, Ms. Allen.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident based on a report that was issued in September. So September the 2nd, that would have been after this defendant was on probation for battery, family violence, and had entered his plea. The victim in that case is Deja Cephas, Cephas. She is also the victim in this case. He had been arrested after that battery, family violence in June of this year for an aggravated stalking for a violation of that bond order, false imprisonment, criminal damage to property in the 2nd degree, and battery on the same victim. So he's not only on probation for a battery, family violence against this young woman, he's got an open aggravated stalking and assault, as well as a false imprisonment and damage to property that's open right now with a bond order that requires him to have no contact. That was issued in June of 2024. So this report in September of 2024 would have been in violation of not just his bond order on his new aggravated stalking case, but a violation of his probation. The victim, Mrs. Cephas, called police on the 2nd of September and reported that while she was driving northbound near the Glen Ridge connector on 400, she was with the defendant and her small child that they share returning home from the hospital, that the defendant in the car had shoved her while she was driving and then taken her phone. She did not have her phone on her when she called the police and then talked to them when they arrived at her residence, 123 Summer Crossing. She reported that the child they share with the initials LW was present for this incident when he shoved her in the car. And that they were driving home from the hospital. We did speak to Mrs. Cephas today. She reports that she and the defendant are no longer in a relationship, but they do share the child. She says that she called the defendant because she had to go to the hospital with their child and she didn't know what else to do. We did not ask or attach any aggravated stalking charges to this case, Your Honor, but the state does believe it's important to note that not only does the defendant have a conviction when this happened, he had already entered a plea, and part of the conditions of that were to stay away from this young woman, but he also was on bond for violating orders to stay away from her and then getting a felony aggravated stalking charge. She's got 3 children, including the one she shares with the defendant. They were all 3 of her children part of the incident that he's got a felony bond on for falsely imprisoning them in their home and barricading himself inside the house. Police had to be called for that incident, Your Honor. So, you know, it's the state's opinion that Mrs. Kafis, who seems to be minimizing what happened in September, although she called the police for help and said that her phone had been stolen, may not be in the best position to determine whether it's in her best interest or the best interest of her children to continue to have contact with this gentleman. We're asking for a $4,000 cash bond, Your Honor, to stay away from Mrs. Kafis. Her first name is spelled DE-JAH. Again, her last name is CEPHAS. No contact with her and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. The open case in felony court. I don't have the number in front of me right now, but I can provide it to you. It's 24 PI 003394, Your Honor. She did acknowledge that he was on bond as a result of that second incident this year, and that this incident would be the third. And if you'd call for Mrs. Kafis. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Deja, I see you there. If you wish to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. I need for you to act. Okay, there you go, ma'am. Raise your right hand for me. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, you can place your hand down, ma'am. Pronounce your name for me, please.
Deja Cephas.
Okay, yes, Ms. Cephas. What would you like to tell the court?
The incident in September, I was at the hospital, our baby suffers from severe seizures. I contacted Mr. Williams. He had no contact with me prior to that. I contacted him. I was intoxicated that night. He was in his phone, I guess, talking to the new person that he talked to. I became upset at the hospital. I threw his phone first, and then he snatched my phone. He did not assault me at all. He did not come to my residence at all. I took an Uber from the hospital. So I'm not understanding. I can't drive. I don't have a license. I don't have a car. I don't even know how to drive. So I don't know where it came from that I was driving a vehicle and we got into an altercation. That is untrue. We had an argument at the hospital. I broke his phone first, then he snatched I hit the SOS button on my phone. That called the police, and then they came to my home. How they came to my home when they were called when I was at the hospital, I don't know, but that's what happened.
Okay, and you understand that you're not to have any he's not to have any contact with you, which
Yes,
means
ma'am.
that.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, Judge. Yes, sir.
Okay,
I
so
was just scared because our daughter had a seizure. I'm sorry.
Okay, I understand, but it doesn't do him any good for you to contact him and he's not supposed to be in contact with you. So that's just gonna get him right back where he is, regardless of what you're going through, okay?
Yes, sir.
So that's already in place and it's gonna remain in place with this case. But I appreciate you being here this afternoon, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, Mr. McLean.
In the public safety assessment that it did list that prior as being one prior violent conviction. Of course, we know it's a misdemeanor. I understand there's the open felony. But because of that, the recommendation, if your honor were to give him a reporting level of the signature bond, he would be reporting weekly on release level 3, if your honor went that way. We would ask the court to consider a signature bond, your honor. He's a graduate of Heritage School in Coweta County near Noonan, Georgia. He is now a cook for the last 3 months at a certain restaurant, which is better than what he was before, was a sous chef. And so he's moving up in his career as a cook. He was a sous chef for a year at one of the major Atlanta restaurants before this 3 months at where he is now. And before that, he worked at Velvet Taco for 9 years. So he is an industrious person. We'd ask the court to consider signature bond for this. Thank you.
Okay, for the simple battery, it'll be a $2,000 good bond. For the theft, $1,000 good bond, makes for a total of a $3,000 good bond. No further contact with Ms. Cephas. Stay away from her residential address. no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you all.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Allen, was the cruelty, NOD?
Yes, sir. You have to commit a battery with a visible injury to have a cruelty when there's a child present.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Next, Your Honor, is gonna be position number 26, Jesus Thorn.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Thorne. You've been charged in case 24 CR 008282C with theft by shoplifting. Is there a history, Ms. Hardy?
The last arrest was June the 16th, 2023, out of Monroe, Georgia, for theft by taking. There's a total of 18 arrest cycles with arrests out of Georgia and New Jersey. Felony conviction in 2016 for burglary. There's a misdemeanor conviction in 2019 for theft by shoplifting. Nothing further to report.
Thank you, Ms. Allen.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident from the 21st of December. At about 4:30 p.m., police were notified that the Walmart at 844 Cleveland Avenue had a theft. On scene, the defendant in front of you made admissions to police that he'd taken a heater and a television from the location because he needed to sell them to make money for his family. He passed all points of sale with that merchandise, Your Honor. He does have a substantial arrest history out of New Jersey, but I did, like pretrial saw, only see this burglary conviction prior. He does have one prior shoplifting conviction here in 19 CR 007857C, and it looks like he's got an open theft out of Monroe County, Your Honor. We're asking for a $2,000 surety. Stay away from the Walmart at 844 Cleveland Avenue. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
Mr. McLean.
Your Honor, my client graduated high school in East Orange, New Jersey. He is a homemaker. He has children at home that he's taking care of, a teenager and I believe a 7-year-old.
18 months and 7 months.
Oh, I'm sorry. 18 months, not 18 years. I should have put him there. A 7-year-old and an 18-month-old.
7 months.
7 months. Oh my gosh. I can't write, Your Honor. They're both very, very young. He is the caregiver for them. He is unemployed at the moment for pecuniary advantage, but he is providing those services at home. Before that, he rented a box truck and moved scrap metal around and did whatever he could to help make ends meet. He's been in Georgia 9 years, so I would call him local. He lives, his address, his good mailing address is Hampton, Georgia, and we did understand what the arrest record was. We would ask the court to consider a signature bond.
Okay, it'll be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. Stay away from that Walmart on Cleveland Avenue, and no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond.
And Your Honor, can we get an address for the defendant? He's listed as homeless in the system.
I'm currently staying at a Motel 6 on Virginia Ave. Hope charity program paid for the hotel.
But this is your mail address, right?
That is my mailing address and my children's grandmother address. That's never gonna change.
Right.
I'm not sure how you can be a stay-at-home homemaker when you're homeless staying at a shelter.
It's not a shelter, ma'am. It's a Motel 6. It's a hotel.
Okay, good luck to you, Mr. Thor.
Thank you, Your Honor. Happy holidays.
You as well.
Your Honor, position number 10 is.
Yes.
It can be a medical reset, but it's really up to Ms. Beta. Because she interviewed him, so I don't know if she wants to waive him. But he said, y'all can do whatever you guys want to do. I'm not feeling well, so we took him to medical. So I don't know what we should do at this point. Those were his words.
Ms. Bader, do you have a waiver of presence?
I have one, Judge. I didn't fill it out with him prior to this hearing. He didn't indicate that he wasn't feeling well when I spoke to him. So in terms of getting the waiver filled out, I'm not sure how we can, what your honor would recommend.
Well, we can't go forward if we don't have a signed waiver. So why don't we just give him a medical reset until tomorrow?
Sounds good. Medical reset.
Okay.
All right, and that concludes the calendar for this afternoon. Is that right?
Your Honor, it may be, or it may not be, that the Mulkey case, the adult cosigner whom we seek, may have signed on, or maybe not. Because I sent a message and then they replied, how soon do I have to come on? So I don't know if
I'm in here.
Oh, that was Laquita Jordan, I recall. There's an angel right there.
Okay, so you're gonna have to tell me what case you're talking about, Mr. McLean.
That's Mr. Mulkey. His first name, I believe, is Jaden, and he was a 17 with a gun.
Position 13. No.
13, was it?
No, 19.
19, sorry.
Okay, and so you told me that it was going to be a Laquita Jordan who was gonna be his adult cosigner, is that right?
That's what he thought. Angel?
Yes, this is me. I'm his sister. Our auntie, she on the road out of town, so she wasn't able to get into the call.
How old are you?
I'm 21.
Okay.
So Miss Angel, Miss Jordan she is willing to sign Mr. Mulkey or Jaden out, is that right?
Yes. Either me or her, or I'm too young to sign his.
Okay, no, I want her since she's I have her down, so if she can sign him out, then she'll be able to.
I can send the link to y'all. I'll get on the phone with you and I'll send you the link. It opens up a form to co-sign. She's frozen or not?
Appears to. Yeah, she appears to be frozen, so. All right, so you'll just get in touch with one of them, Mr. McLean. Ms. Strong, are we ready?
Judge, if I could speak to you, please. You probably already called the defendant name. His name is Dale Cobb, and he lived in child, and he supposed to been in this court today.
So Miss Gloria chatted into the chat asking about that case. I informed her that Dale Cobb is set for the week in January for SAP.
So can he get a signature bond and get out today though?
He's got a bench warrant case and an open 23 CR case.
So explain that to me.
He's not on my Miss Gloria. He's not on my calendar today. The next calendar he's going to be on is going to be is called the state all-purpose calendar, and that's going to be, when is that, Miss Allen? Which calendar is he on for that?
What I see says the 9th.
Okay, so his next court date, Miss Gloria, is not going to be until January 9th.
So he will have to stay in jail to then.
Yes,
because we never got a letter. I never got a letter at the house saying nothing about a court, because if I had got it, he would have been in court.
Okay, Miss Gloria. Well, he's not on my calendar today, so if he can, I take it that he probably has some type of bond set for him. So if he can get out, if he can bond out, but if he's not able to bond out, then they'll see him on that next regularly scheduled court date. Okay,
and that will be at the Puddin County Jail downtown.
You can do it over Zoom like we're doing today. So.
Oh, it won't be in person.
These are normally over Zoom, Miss Gloria.
Well, really, we came to court before downtown on Price Street.
Okay, well, with the state courts, and if someone's in custody, then they're normally over Zoom.
It's Zoom, okay.
Okay.
All right. And if he get out, then what do we do?
You have to come back to his next court date whenever that's assigned.
On the 9th.
Well, if he gets out, then he'll get another court date. If he doesn't get out, we'll see him then.
Okay, I got you. All right.
Okay.
All
All
right.
right.
All right.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
day, ma'am.
You
You're
too.
welcome.
Bye-bye.
And Miss Angel, if you'll
Yes.
get your Mr. McLean's gonna get your information, okay? So, Mr. McLean, do you need something from Miss Angel here?
I've got her phone number. I'll call her and get the appropriate, Miss Jordan's, email.
Okay, so he'll call you after court, Miss Angel.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, ma'am. Miss Strong.
Position number 1 is a $600 good bond. Reset SAP. Position number 2 was a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. Position number 3 was a $4,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. 4, $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. 5 was a $2,500 good bond, reset SAP. 6 was a $10,000 signature bond through pretrial level 3. 7 was a $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. 8 was a $4,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. 9 was a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. 10 was medical reset for tomorrow. 11 was a $1,600 good bond, reset SAP. 12 was a $1,000 good bond, reset SAP. 13, $600 good bond, reset SAP. 14 was a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. 15 was a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. 16 was a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1 with an adult cosigner. 17 was a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. 18, $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. 19 was a $10,000 signature bond through pretrial with an adult cosigner. 20 was a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. 21, $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. 22, $4,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. 23, $4,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. 24 was a $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. 25 was a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. 26 was a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. 27 was also a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. 28 was a $6,000 pretrial level 3. 29 was a $3,000 good bond, reset SAP. On the add-on calendar, position number 1 was a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. And position number 2 was a $1,400 good bond, reset SAP.
Any questions or concerns? If not, thank you all for making this big calendar run smoothly today. It's very much appreciated.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, I will see you all tomorrow. And Norris, are you gonna be with me? You gonna be with me tomorrow?
No, he's not, Your Honor.
I will, Your Honor.
Okay, well, I'm just making note that last week you were gone a couple of days. I didn't get a chance. I didn't see you. So
I was on vacation. My mother's birthday. She was 80 years old. She turned 80 years old.
oh, congratulations! Great.
Yes.
Well, you were missed as always when you're not here. So
thank you, sir. Thank you.